Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ifeoluwa Alabi and we're still continuing on the Canada Relocation series, and today we're going to be doing a lot of diving down to what happens from the moment you receive your ITA to also you becoming a permanent resident of Canada. It's quite an entire journey. It's a journey of faith. So I remember on the 23rd of March 2023, I will never forget the date, don't mind me. I was just at work that day, and the email that I've used to register or to create an account on the IRC portal says that I have a new message. I'm beautifully pleased that my have a new message. I'm beautifully pleased that myself and my husband, we have that same email account on our different phones. So I called my husband and I said, "What is going on? Check." I think, I've just received this. Could that be IT? Because fortunately for her, that same day, IRCC actually selected, like, did their draw, and our CRS score happens to be one of, fell within the, that point bracket. So my husband checked, and lo and behold, it was our ITA. It was such a happy moment for us. We danced, we rejoiced, because this is actually very different from the sense that we've been waiting for this news since 2021, 2021, 2022, and eventually came 2023, and it was just 2 weeks the expiring of my IELTS. What a miracle, right? It was a miracle. And at that point, I was still pregnant with my second child. I was pregnant with my daughter. So let's go right into me telling you about how the entire process will go. So I'm looking at my phone because I put all of the information down there. So you receive your ITA, which is an invitation to apply. And then when you log into your account on the IRC portal, you know the kind of program you've been invited to apply for, because your ITA is not automatically that you become a permanent resident. No. So there are different programs that you might be invited to apply for. Ours was under the Federal Skill Workers Program, and that is the FSWP, and that is what we applied for. Some can be under the CEC, some can be the PMP, and some can even be under trade or under any category. So from the point that you receive your ITA, you have 60 days to submit all the documents that you have put in on your express entry profile, on the profile you created. Now, even though you've been offered ITA, I remember that IRCC also still gave you an option to either accept it or decline it. But what do you expect? We accepted. So you accept, and when you accept, you proceed your application. And some people can actually reject it. If they reject it, there's no punishment or no penalty for that. So number 3 step is that you need to start gathering your documents. Now, these documents are just a proof of some of the things you actually put in your profile, in your profile on the IRCC account. And these things, like the gathering of your documentation, is very, very important. I can tell you, so many people have been banned because they produce fake documents. You have to be very careful, making sure that you are not over exaggerating things that you don't have. You get what I mean? So number 1 thing is you need to make ready your passport. So I remember that I have my passport, my baby, my son, at that point my son was I think it was 2 or 3 years about. He also has his passport, my husband has his passport, but at that point we're expecting another child, so the baby doesn't have a passport, because you can't have a passport until your baby is born. But you need to gather all the passports in your family. Number 2 is that your language test result, you need to get ready the official one, the IELTS, or whichever one that you are using. Maybe self-people actually gave to you. This is very important because number 1 is that IRCC want to confirm that all the points or all the scores you included on your profile is actually very accurate. And number 2, they also want to confirm that your IELTS or whatever the English proficiency test that you took is actually still valid, that is less than 2 years. Then number 3 is that you also need to make available your WES, your educational credential assessment, which is your WES. You need to make it available. And number 4 is that you also need to make available your proof of work experience. You must have put it on your CRS on the portal that you have your work experience. Like I said, if you don't know how to calculate your CRS score or what it's going to be like, I mean, your IRCC express entry profile, that I wish you can actually do that. So so you need to bring a reference letter from having the letterhead of your organization, as well as the signature of your boss, showing that the role or the NOC code that you have chosen on your express entry is exactly what you have in reality. Then number 5 is that you need to also get ready your police certificate for anybody that in every country you have lived more than 6 months, and for anyone that's above the age of 18. Then another thing again is that number 6 is that you need to get ready your medical exam. So IRCC has some designated centers where you need to go and carry out your medical assessment. So I remember myself and my husband and my son, we did travel to, because we're living in Ibadan at that time, so we traveled to Lagos, Nigeria, and that's where like they already have a particular, I mean, you have to book. I can't remember the details now, but I know you have to book on a particular profile, and then you go carry out your medical. Yeah. So another thing again is that you need to also make available your proof of fund. Proof of fund is another thing that you need to actually make available, which is for every family you have your proof of fund. I think I'll look for a screenshot. I'll put beside me, so that you can see what, for every member of your family, there's a particular amount of money you need to have. Unfortunately, the proof of fund have become more expensive, over the years, and you can't blame IRCC. They're feeling like, okay, for a family of 4 at that point when we relocated, we expected to have, I don't know, I think around, I'm not sure, something less than $30,000. Yeah, you need to show the proof that you have the amount, your account, and don't forget, all of these things has to be submitted within 60 days. Another thing again is that you need to also go and do your digital photo. So I remember that we also went to a photo studio, because IRCC also have a particular dimension of digital photo that you should have. You can see it's such a long process, right? So that I said, it's a journey of faith, it's a long ride, it's more than your ITA. So when you've done that, so for your medical examination, I remember that I wrote there that you need to book with an IRCC approved panel physician. So yes, you need to book, and you receive an IME number or confirmation of your upload, and also the medical result will be sent directly to IRCC. I remember that there's sometimes that they will have to go and do their medical tests, again, but I came in perfectly. I know sometimes people can have some issue around it, but I don't think it's something too bad. So another thing again is, after you've gathered all the documents, you need to upload all of the documents under each of the tab on your IRCC profile or account. At this point, I would say that kindly review all of this document very well. Make sure that you're not doctoring anything. You are giving exact information that you are submitted before you receive your ITA. Don't make any modification at all. So I need to make this point. Like I earlier mentioned, that when we were given an ITA, I haven't had my daughter then. I was pregnant with my daughter. So what happened is that within that period of 60 days, I had to notify, because I was going to have my baby, we received the ITA in March. I was going to have my baby in April, but eventually I didn't have her until May. So I had to notify, IRCC that I'm pregnant and we're expecting a baby, and the due dates, we had to tell them. So I remember that they said we should still carry on. Then eventually we raised what we call the web form, which is when you give an additional information. So it was during that period that we had to get a passport for my daughter when she was born, and also to add that to our profile. And then they asked us to resubmit our proof of fund, because now we're no longer family of 3, we are now family of 4. You get the gist. So another thing that I also wrote here is that later on, IRCC will ask you to go and do your biometrics. So you submit the document. I think after you submit the document, then they will ask you to go and do your biometric. And now IRCC will ask you to give a fingerprint or a photo. They will ask you to, so you have to book an appointment at the same biometric collection center that are very approved by IRCC themselves. And after you've done all of that, IRCC, we assess your eligibility, then we assess your criminality, They will assess your medical status. They will review everything you submitted to make sure that they are authenticated and all of that. And the thing is, I've seen people in the past that even after they submitted it, IRCC actually give them a feedback. For example, the popular one is usually your proof of fund. Yes, I know the money is quite a lot, so they're integrating around all of these things. For example, IRCC always want to make sure that you have that money in your account, and they expect that you actually have the money in your account even until you landed. But I know one of the things happen around the line, but I don't want to discuss that. But make sure that whatever money you have in your account is something that is clean. You have a clean record of it, because if at any point IRCC notice any ambiguity around it, they might reach you. If they might get back to you, like send you a message, and if you're not able to prove it or you're not able to clarify the ambiguity, it can lead to a ban, right? And you don't want that. So the thing is that, so after that, once IRCC tell you that IRCC, like this is what I said, IRCC may request clarification or extra document for some people, and you're meant to respond. They'll give you a deadline. Always respond before the end of the deadline. So once they've done that, once they've verified everything, we were very fortunate. They didn't request, there was no additional document needed or additional explanation needed. We received our. Then they asked us to bring our passport request. So we went to submit our passport request, and also you're going to receive your COPR, which is your confirmation of permanent resident. And at this point, you're almost like a permanent resident already. So I remember that we received our COPR in, I'm trying to remember now. I think the whole process was very fast for us. Sometimes it takes about 6 months, sometimes it takes about 3 months. But I think from March, I think we got our COPR in June, or I think it should be July 2023. Yeah, July 2023. We received our COPR, we received our passport, and our passport went to submit our passport. Then we received our passport back with a visa on it, a Canada visa on it, confirming that we are a permanent resident. And even though we didn't leave immediately, we waited for about 6 months after, because from that June we didn't leave until we didn't leave until we landed in January 2024. So we took a long time. We were enjoying ourselves. I needed to finish my project at work, just take some ample time. My daughter was still young as well and all of that. So but the thing is that you need to make sure that you land in Canada. Not more than a year. It just has to be exactly a year. We have 1 year window period. Like we receive our COPR. I think we received our COPR in I can't remember the exact, but I think we make sure that we landed before the 1 year elapsed. And that's just it. So you book your flights, you start packing. So my next video is what I packed, how I prepared. That's what I'm going to be discussing. What I packed after the whole, that you're relocating, you booked your airline and all of that. I'm going to be sharing details about that, parking, shopping, and eventually when you got to Canada, you get to the airport, you get to the embassy. You just get, I think it should be the embassy, right? You get there, and you get to the airport, you're stamped, and you're now a permanent resident, just like that. Congratulations, you're a permanent resident. Welcome to Canada, and that's it. This entire process seems to be can take about 6 months. Yes, it can take. I wrote here that it can actually take about 6 months. But one information you should also know, which is what I plan to do a video on, is the financial implication or financial cost of all the entire process for your application. Because you need to pay your application fee, you need to pay for your biometrics, you need to pay for some things and all of that. So yeah. So guys, if you're finding this video very useful, I want you to please share with somebody, and thank you. Please don't forget to subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Bye.